Okay, so here we are with this cat kit. About to make one of the ears. We're gonna make two, one in each color of color A and color B, the white and the brown. I'm gonna use, I guess, color B for funsies. So I'm gonna start these with a magic circle instead of doing the chain 2. So yarn over my finger, bring my tail around, hold on to that tail, go under the tail, grab the working yarn, bring it under, then I pinch with my right hand, then switch to my left, chain 1 to secure, and then 6 single crochet into the loop, and I'm going over both or under both loops of my tail and the loop. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have 2, 4, 6 right there. I'm gonna grab a stitch marker, and we are going to do 2 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 12. So I got my stitch marker. So this is my first loop here. I'm gonna go under, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on my hook, and then put in my stitch marker. This is my first stitch of the round. Do another single crochet into the same stitch, and then 2 in each stitch around. And after that, we are going to have a row where we do another increase, but just do single crochet in the first 3 stitches and then our increase. Okay, so double count or double check our count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So now we're going to single crochet in the next 3 single crochet. So here's our first one here. 1, put in our stitch marker, 2, 3, and then this next one would be an increase, so 2 single crochet in 1, and I'm going to do that around and be back. Okay, at this point I'm gonna pull this thread up and turn it over so that my wrong side is facing me, tighten this up, and I'm going to tie this end down and weave it in. So I'm just gonna go under a nearby loop, tie this off, weave it in a bit, and then trim it. And then the next row is just a single crochet in each stitch around, and then we fasten off. So these are pretty quick. So here we go. Here's our first stitch. I'll make the white one, I'll do off camera, and then we start on the legs and the body. And these types of ears usually are, you end up folding them in half so that they're basically double layered, which I imagine is what we'll end up doing with these. Now I'm just going to do this last single crochet and then fasten off. So I'm just going to fasten off by slip stitching in the next stitch, leaving a tail for sewing. Probably about that much is more than enough. Pull that all the way through, and here we go. So that is one ear, and then we'll move on to the legs and body. Okay, so body and legs. The legs are made first, then joined together with a chain 3, and the body is formed. So you're gonna make 2. The first one we're gonna fasten off. The second one though, we're not gonna fasten off. So I'll do the first one all the way through, then the second one I'll do until the last round, or off camera, and then I'll come back for the last round because that'll be different. I'm assuming that this is a typo because it says with color B chain 2 8 stitch and second chain from the hook. I'm assuming that's supposed to be single crochet and the second chain from the hook. But again, we'll just do a magic circle because that's what we do. So here I go. Hold on a second. Okay. So we are going to do the same thing we just did, basically this, except with 8 single crochet instead of 6 this time. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8. And I'm gonna tighten that up, and then we're gonna do our standard increase row. So this is my first stitch of this round. If you're not sure, and you can always put a stitch marker in the first stitch after you make it, but we'll count back again. So 2, 4, 6, 8 right here. So under both loops, this loop down here and this one here, single crochet, and then stitch marker, two single crochet in each stitch around. So second one here, and then I'm just going to continue around, putting 2 single crochet into the top of each of the previous single crochets, like so. And then we're gonna have a couple of rows of doing, did I do 2 in that one? No, I didn't. We're gonna have a couple rows of doing just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So I'll mark out my rows so I can mark them out as I go, because then repeat rows. That's a good way to keep track if you're not basically just leaving a stitch marker in every one. So let's double check our count. We should have 16. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And so now rows 3, 4, and 5, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch around, which is pretty self-explanatory. So just here in our first stitch, 1 single crochet, put our stitch marker back, and then in every stitch around, a single crochet. So I'm going to finish out this row and the next 2 rows, marking off my row and moving my stitch marker each time, and I will be back. Okay, so at the end of row 5, I'm gonna bring my yarn up, turn this inside out, tighten this down, and tie off this end and weave it in. Tighten it down pretty tightly. And then I'll just weave this in a little. And then just, honestly, just leave it here. Okay, so turning it right side out again, so right side is facing us. And now we are going to single crochet in the next 2 single crochet and then decrease. So here's our first single crochet of the round, 1. We'll put our stitch marker in, 2, and then decrease. So insert under the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert under the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops for a decrease. And then as you're doing your next single crochet, keep your tension a little tighter and make it so that it pulls that stitch over. 1, 2, and then another decrease, and just repeat this pattern all the way around. 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, decrease. Okay, and then we are going to do, we got one more row where we're just going to single crochet, alternating single crochet and decrease. So here in the, this is the last stitch of our previous round, this is the first stitch of our current round, so we're going to do our single crochet, put our stitch marker back in, and then in the next stitch a decrease, single crochet, and then in our next a decrease, and then over here, not right here, over here is my next one, single crochet, decrease, and then our last set here, single crochet, taking care not to accidentally grab loops from the other side, decrease. So now we are going to fasten off, but we aren't going to leave a long tail for sewing because it does not say to. So we're just going to fasten off, trim that, and set this one aside for now. Now I'm going to make the second one up till the last round, and then I'll be back. Okay, here we are back at row 7. I got my color A here ready to color change, and this row again is just alternating single crochet and a decrease around. And then in our last stitch, we're going to change, or we just do a decrease, the color. Okay, so here's our last stitch, which is a decrease. So I'm just going to start the decrease, pull the loop up here, but now instead of yarning over this yarn and pulling it through all 3, I'm gonna just put this yarn on my hook here and pull that through all 3. Okay, so we pulled our white yarn through all 3 loops on the hook, and then it says in the next round single crochet in the next stitch with color A in each stitch around. So I'm gonna do that first single crochet first. So I'm going to take out my stitch marker from the previous round, and I'm going to do this first single crochet over this white tail. So here's my first stitch of the round, so I'm gonna insert under there, and then just yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops on my hook around that tail, and then I'm gonna pull this up and I'm gonna trim this yarn and get that out of here. And then I'm just going to take these two tails and I'm going to tie them together like so. And then tuck those ends right in there. That tying it makes this first stitch a little tight, but it's still a stitch and we can still work into it. So I'm going to put my stitch marker back into this tiny white one because that's the first stitch of our round, and the brown is our last stitch of the previous round. Okay, so figuring out the next section has taken some trial and error. It is not well written. It leaves out a detail that throws off your stitch count and makes everything seem wrong and impossible to reconcile, but I have realized what they did. So here we finish our first leg and then we join to our other leg, and I'm going to go back to that point, and then actually I'm going to go back to the beginning because I added. Okay, so this calls for us now in color A to single crochet in each stitch around. Okay, so we've done our color change. This tiny little guy here is the first stitch of our round. I'll put my stitch marker back in there like so. Now we're gonna single crochet and the rest of these stitches around for a total of 8. So 1, 2, and these tops, some of the tops of these stitches are really quite small. The decrease tops are bigger and the single crochet ones are so just make sure you don't skip any, because this little guy right here, he's a full stitch, so we need to work into him. So we're at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, making sure that we're not catching any of the loops from the other side of stitches. 8. Okay, now it wants us to chain 3, so just yarn over, pull through a loop on your hook. 1, 2, 3. I've redone this like 4 times, I think, by the way, figuring out what they meant by this because they didn't specify. And then we're going to join to this leg over here. So we're just gonna insert under a stitch. I did it earlier like inserting this way and it just kind of looked awkward, and I tried it this way and it seemed a little bit smoother. So that's 1 single crochet, and then it says to 8 single crochet around leg, but in this case that just means that you will have 8 around the leg, so we're going to do 7 more. That's a little bit misleading because you could read that as there being 9, but anyway, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it says to single crochet back loop only in the back loops of the chain 3. So here, this one, even though this one kind of hangs out over the middle like it's one of our chains, it's not. This is the top of our last single crochet here, and this right here is the top of our first single crochet here. So our chains are 1, 2, 3 here in the middle. If that's a little confusing for you, feel free to just put a stitch marker in your first one when you're making it. That's totally fine. So I'm going to do a single crochet into the back loop only, which is the loop furthest away from you. So 1 single crochet, then 1 here into the middle, 1, 2, 3, and then it says place a stitch marker, so I'll just move this one over. Now your stitch count is 22, but if you count these stitches, it is not 22 stitches. If you count them, you have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. And I fussed about this, trying to figure out how and why and whatever. And I realized finally when I was starting to work on the next row and I was looking at the way that the pattern was set up, is that they're counting the other side of your chain 3 as stitches, even though technically they weren't stitches in this round. In the next row, you're going to work into them. So there'll be 22 stitches in the next round. But this was, 19. So then we have this first little loop is 20, and then 21 and 22. So that's how you count for this round. It's they should have mentioned that they were counting the other side of the chain 3, because otherwise you could sit here all day and do the math and say, well, I have 8 stitches in this leg and I have 8 stitches in this leg, and then I'm chaining 3 in the middle. That never gets you 22. However, wherefore, moving on, now we have 22, and now we can do the next row. So this row isn't like the other rows we've had when we've done instructions in brackets and then with a number of times after it, because in this case we're doing it a number of times, but it's not for all the way around. And then we have instructions in comma in the middle, and then another set of bracket instructions. Still easy to figure out and follow. You can count this however you like. You can mark off 1, 2, 3, 4 and do 1 single crochet and then an increase and mark it off and count it that way. You can look at this as a set of 12 stitches that you're working in terms of 1 and then 2, 3, 4 and then 5, 6 and count it that way to 12. I'm gonna do it a different way, but I'm gonna get started. So this is single crochet in the next stitch and then increase, and doing that 4 times. So here's my first stitch. So here's my single crochet. I'm gonna move my stitch marker, and then I'm gonna do my increase, so 2, 3, and then I'm gonna count 2 for my second single crochet, and then in the next one 2, 3, and then 3, and then 2, 3, and then 4, and then in this little white one 2, 3. So basically in the set of stitches that's around the foot, you're repeating this pattern, and then once you get to the middle, you're just doing single crochet in the next 3. So we're doing a single crochet in the bottom loops of the chain that we did in the middle. So here is our first loop here, here is our second loop, here is our third loop. So we're just gonna scoot into there, single crochet 1, and then under this loop here 2, and then right here this one 3, and then around the other foot we're going to do, I split my yarn a little bit. Around the other foot we're going to do the same thing again, single crochet in the next single crochet, and then an increase 4 times. So that's starting here and working that pattern 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 2, and you'll have to probably turn this a little bit to get both of your loops out. 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Oh, I caught a loop there, so I'm going to take that one out and redo those ones because one of my loops got stood up. Okay, so that was an increase. So 2, 3, and then 4, 2, 3, and then to finish it off, single crochet in the next 3. So these are the 3 single crochet we made into the back loop. Okay, so there we go. And now we will have 30 stitches. So now we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. The next row is just a single crochet 1 in each stitch around. So I will do that and be back. Okay, so we've done that row. This says literally in the finishing to stuff feet and body. I see no reason not to stuff the feet now when they're much closer and easier to get to. So I'm gonna do that because they can't stop me. And we probably don't need very much. I kind of doubt with the way the feet are designed that this is one that will kind of stand on its own. So, just gonna do some stuffing in here. And then our next row is gonna be one of the more standard increase rows that we're used to, where we're gonna single crochet in the next 4 and then increase. And then the next row after that is gonna be just a single crochet in each stitch around. So I'll demonstrate the single crochet in the next 4 and then increase, and then I'll just finish that row out off camera and do the next row of single crochet in each stitch around off camera as well. So here we are, we're gonna do this, start 11, and we're gonna do our first single crochet here. So this is 1, we'll put our stitch marker back, then 2, 3, 4, and then in the next stitch we'll do an increase, so 2 single crochet in the same stitch, and then we'll just start in the next stitch, counting again 1 2 3 4, and then an increase in the next stitch all the way around, and then a row of single crochet in each stitch around. So I'll do those and be back. Okay, so here we are at the end of round 12. What we look like, looking a lot like a penguin right now. Now we're gonna do another increase round. We're just gonna single crochet in the next 5, increase, repeat that around. I'll demonstrate it, and then I'll finish that row. And then 14 through 17 is just single crochet in each stitch around. So I will just do those off and mark them off as I go, and then I'll come back for 18, and we'll basically just continue like that until we're through the next set of rows and decreases. So we're going to single crochet in the next 5 and then increase. So here's our first stitch of the round. We're going to do our first single crochet, put our stitch marker in. So that's 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase in the next. So 2 single crochet in this next stitch, 2. We're going to repeat that around, and then do 4 rows, 14 through 17, of single crochet in each stitch around. So I'll be back after that. Okay, so this is what we look like at the end of row 17. So our next row, we are going to single crochet in the next 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase. So 2 single crochet in this stitch. We're going to repeat that around, and then do rows 19 and 20 single crochet in each stitch around. So I will finish this row, do rows 19 and 20, and then be back. Okay, so here we are at the end of row 20. Considering how late it's getting, I'm just gonna do a few more rows until the color change, and that'll either be the end of the video, or I'll just continue the same one tomorrow. But our next row is really similar to the one that we just did in 18, except instead of an increase, we're doing a decrease. So we're going to single crochet in the next stitch. So here's our first stitch here. So this is 1. Put our stitch marker back in, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then decrease. Insert under the first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, insert under the second stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook, and then just repeat that pattern of 6 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then not letting this loop get too loose, a decrease in the next, and repeat that around. And then after that, rows 22 and 23 are single crochet in each stitch around, except in the last stitch we are going to do a color change. So I will do the rest of this row and then 22 and 23 and come back at the end of 23. Okay, so we are coming up to the end of row 23. And so here on our last stitch, we're going to color change to color C, which is the pink. This is the white that I have left right now. And I am still needing 2 parts of arms and a fish head. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, I'm using the hook provided and I'm not using overly large tension, so we'll see if that is enough. But we're just going to do this color change, and then that'll be all that I record for today. I might add more to this tomorrow, or I might just have this be its own video, because figuring out that one count, it's not going to be that long in here, but it took probably 20, I don't know how many minutes. It took some minutes. So so for our last stitch of round 23, we're going to do our color change. So we're going to insert under the stitch like normal, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then we're going to place our pink on the hook instead of pulling through our white, and we're just going to pull that through both loops on the hook. And then I'm going to go ahead and just do the first single crochet of the next round around my pink tail here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to take this out for a second. I want this loop to be on this side. So I'm going to do that again, but I'm going to try to keep the loop over here, and then pull that over, and then I'm just going to do the first single crochet of the next round, move my stitch marker, and then I'm just going to tie these two together. And trim this white. And that'll be it for now. So this is up through row 22. And next time we'll start with the pink part of the body. Okay, so here we are. We have done the first stitch of we've done the first stitch of round 24. So we're going to be finishing up the body. So our next thing is to single crochet in the next 19 and then to decrease, and then we're basically going to, for the next 4 rows after that, do the same thing but with one less single crochet each time. So I'm gonna start here. So this is 1, and then I'm gonna work here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, Oh, I caught a loop there. Just gonna back out and slip that off. Although now I have, lost count, was that 14 or 15? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. That was 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Now we're gonna do our decrease, and then this is just 2 times, so it'll just be 19 more stitches, and then the decrease will be the last 2 stitches. And then the next row will be the same thing, just with 18, and then the next row the same thing with 17, then 16, then 15. So I'm actually just gonna do those next, finish this row and do those next 4 rows as well. Same exact concept, just with 1 less stitch before you do the decrease, and then I will be back. Okay, so here we are after row 28. And now we're gonna have some more decrease rows, just with a jump in the intervals. So we're gonna start with single crochet in the next 6 single crochet, and then a decrease, repeat that around, and then 5, and then 4. So here's my first single crochet, put my stitch marker back. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're going to do a decrease here, and then we're going to repeat that around, and then we'll do 5 and then 4. Okay, so now 5, first single crochet here, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease, and repeat that around. Okay, and now 4 for row 31. So single crochet 1, okay, so 2, 3, 4, decrease, and repeat that around, and then we'll have 2 rows of single crochet in each stitch around. So I'll finish this row and then just do those 2 rows of single crochet in each stitch around, and then be back. Okay, so up through row 33 is done. I just did a stitch count, and we have 20 stitches like we're supposed to. So the last round for this is single crochet and the next 3, and then decrease. So we'll do single crochet 1 here, put our stitch marker back in, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease, 1, 2, 3, decrease. Okay, so that is the legs and body. So I'm going to slip stitch under the next stitch, tighten it down. See, it says to leave a tail for sewing, but we left a tail for sewing on the head, and the arms are going to leave a tail for sewing, so I am not going to leave a long tail. I will leave a short tail and tie it off and weave it in. So here is the body. I guess I will go ahead and stuff this now. I'm gonna fluff up the fluff a little bit. And then work it down by section. So I'm going to do the little legs first. And then work my way up. The other cat. Okay. Okay. I'm just making sure I got stuffing in the ankles right now. Then looks like a little bit more. Let's see. And then this will be the end of this video, but I'll probably start recording the next one today still. Okay. That seems pretty decent. Maybe could use a little bit more, I don't know. But, so there's that. Here's the head. Okay, so, yep, that is the legs and body. I might add a little bit more stuffing to this, we'll see. I feel like the design puts your noticeable stitches, I don't know, they're kind of in a noticeable place for me, but maybe that's just me being persnickety. Okay, so that's that for this one. And next we should be actually able to just finish it up in the next one. So hope this helps, and See you guys next time.